What's up, guys? I hope you guys are having a spectacular week. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever time it is right now. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Kalita, and this is The Huddle. And I'm not here alone. No. I'm here with my amazing co host, Given Illustrative.
As always, hello, guys, and hope you guys are doing great. I'm just gonna leave it as just a disclaimer as we start. I'm suffering from Bell's palsy, so my face looks a bit skew from the other videos that I have on the channel. But it's still given. I've not been swapped. I'm not a doppelganger.
And I didn't hurt him. It's not my fault.
Yeah, that's an important one.
It's not my fault, guys. I did not lay hands on him,
Yeah.
in a non-spiritual sense. All right. But today I'm so excited to be back. It feels like I haven't been here forever.
Yeah.
But
It's been December.
listen.
It's been January.
Shoo. But we are finally back.
Yes.
And I'm really excited because this is gonna be our first YouTube one.
Mm-hmm.
If all goes according to plan, everyone cross your fingers,
This
pray to
will
God.
literally be
Like,
our very first
our
one.
very first one, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that. Excited for this new venture.
Mhm.
And I think it's really cool that today our topic is celebrating savagery.
Mm.
Now,
that is a savage topic on its
it
own.
is. It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
So basically, I was just thinking to myself, I tend to do these things.
Yeah.
You noticed that I'm pretty observant, even when
Definitely,
I
yeah.
don't need to be.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is that obviously, okay, it's not just me who've noticed it. It's the culture of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Social media, we are just it's a place of absolute savagery. People
Yeah,
will
it is.
drag
It
you.
is. Yeah.
So I've been thinking about it, and as I was thinking about it, it's easy for us to say, no, but we're Christian. We don't drag people on social media. We're not mean
Mm.
to people and stuff like that.
Mm.
But I realized that in as much as the savagery on the Christian side of
Mm-hmm.
hopefully you're not cussing people out. Hopefully, okay?
Yeah. So it's like it, there is savagery, but the savagery has to be contained
Yes.
amongst Christians.
But on the other side, like
Yeah.
beyond the blatant savagery, because most of us
Mm-hmm.
don't partake at the level, at least to the level that the world takes it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I feel like we're equally responsible
Mm-hmm.
in taking a passive, approach to celebrating savagery. What do you mean by that,
Mm.
Kalita? Like,
Mm.
when we are the ones who are sharing, we're screenshotting and sharing with our friends, we're
Let me see how much
liking.
savagery I can
Yes.
invoke.
You know,
Yeah, I
you're seeing
understand.
people drag people on the social media streets, and you are there. You are front and
Mm.
center. You are retweeting. You are liking the comments. You're like, you're adding flames. What is that thing? Petrol to the fire.
You're pouring fuel to the
That's
flame.
the one.
Yeah.
Like, and I believe that is a problem that we may have as Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, what does that say about the condition of our hearts as Christians as we are celebrating and reveling and egging on this culture of savagery? Because if we are to be honest and we think about it, truly, when the reason why people continue to be so savage on social media and
Mm-hmm.
drag people is because there's positive feedback. People think it's funny.
Yeah.
People are relating to them. They're giving them their feedback, and they're seeing that people are liking this thing.
Mm.
So
Mm.
there's no consequences for me to drag someone and be disrespectful and just shame
No one
someone.
calls you out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because people are busy laughing at the same time.
Yeah.
So our responsibility is also in that space. But before we get like really into it,
Yeah.
like I just
Yeah.
wanted to hear like your views on that. What have you seen? What have you observed? What have you noticed?
The interesting thing is, as you're speaking right now, I'm particularly thinking about how affirmation coming from others is so addictive.
Mm.
Like getting people's support is something that, whether it's for a good thing or a bad thing, it's so addictive.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, getting attention on its own is something that's very addictive.
Mm.
So, like, I know that for me, I would like to think I'm a person who doesn't seek after attention. Like, I don't chase after it, right? Well, depending on how you look at it, because as an
Mm.
artist, there's an extent to which you're
There's a
looking,
level.
yeah, for attention. So, I to that extent I do seek after attention, but what I'm more referring to is I noticed that when I put up a post that I think is dope,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll constantly go online to check how many people are responding to it.
Yes.
You know, or when you put up a WhatsApp status and you're like, this is a dope WhatsApp status.
And you're seeing views.
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. So the thing I'm wondering is, which I believe to be true, like the people that post drama,
Mm.
the people that post things that they know will lead to people online having backlash towards someone,
Yes.
you know, are you not seeking attention for your own self?
Mm.
Which that we should quite honestly not underestimate just how much attention, like, it's like a currency, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
literally want more and more of it. So that's definitely my take on it. First of all, that attention is very addictive.
Mm.
I don't know if I would go as far as calling it clout. I think attention is the right word.
Yeah.
And also that affirmation of, yeah, vele.
Mm.
I've been seeing this all along,
Mm.
which then comes to asking the question of how responsible are you with the things that you share?
Mm.
Like, do you even go online and fact check something
Come
before you
on.
share it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just thinking of how an adult, like, picture this, right? Imagine an adult going and finding a 16-year-old's post
Mm.
that they posted years ago that has some kind of connotation, whether they
Mm.
posted themselves dressed in a skimpy manner, whether they said something that's more for racial slur,
Mm.
but it's a 16-year-old.
Mm.
Like, what level of responsibility should you have
Yes.
before you even share something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That's a really good point. And I think, you know, we're speaking about this and maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, what's the relevancy as a Christian? Why is this
Mm.
relevant?
Mm.
And what I really came to is that what you celebrate is it indicates the level of how much you're entertained by something.
Yeah.
And if you're entertained by something, it means you enjoy something. So, what does it say about the condition of your heart as a
Careful,
Christian?
Kelita.
Oh, so
You're
what do you
convicting
mean?
all of us. We're all convicted now.
Oh, word. Like, what does it say about the condition of your heart if you're just celebrating such wickedness, right?
Mm.
I don't know about you, but like for me this year, God has just been really working in me, trying to bring me into a place of not, well, consuming content responsibly.
Yeah.
And I think many of us think that when we're saying consuming content, we're thinking movies, we're thinking series, we're thinking music,
Yeah.
podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
But I almost want to challenge everyone to see, that app on your phone that tells you how much you use your apps
Mm-hmm.
and for how long.
Mm-hmm.
See how much, in comparison to the series and the movies that you watch,
Mm-hmm.
are you on social media than you are listening to podcasts, etc., etc. And you'll probably find that you're on your phone way more. And so God has just been like challenging me on what content are you consuming, and especially on my phone.
Yeah.
Um, what are the people, especially in places where you can't control exactly what you're seeing?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe your Instagram explore page or your For You page on TikTok. Like, you don't have a curated, like, they're giving you things that they think you're gonna like, right?
Exactly.
So you're not in control, you're not following those people, you haven't checked out their content before it popped up.
Exactly.
So when you are continually looking at content that is really tearing people down, I kind of think of it on the other side, like, is this person who's getting dragged on the internet, are they experiencing anxiety because of this or
Mm.
depression? And because of me egging this person on the other side who's doing the dragging, because I'm egging them on, I'm
Mm.
participating in causing someone's anxiety and depression.
Mm.
And that means that I'm wicked in my own heart.
Mm.
It's just that I'm not doing it like to someone else
Exactly.
until I do it to someone else.
I'm actually reading the definition of what a savage is.
Mm.
So when we're talking about celebrating savagery, this
Yeah.
is basically what we're talking about. Of an animal or force of nature,
Mm.
fierce, violent, and uncontrolled. Packs of savage dogs roamed the streets,
Mm.
being the example.
Mm.
So literally, a savage is someone who ignores all rationality and
Mm.
senses. They just come and they take their thing and they say, "This has always been mine, and this is mine
Yes.
from here on."
Mm.
And it really does. I think it puts a picture as to what it when we're saying celebrating savagery, what exactly does savagery look like,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And then it I think you raised a very good point in the sense of whatever you enjoy in terms of content, whatever you um consume
Mm.
says something about the things that you support and the things that you enjoy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think what's more frightening for me is it doesn't only say something about the things you enjoy, but it also says something about let me not say something says something in as much as it desensitizes you,
Mm.
right? So that eventually that thing becomes a norm.
Yeah, yeah.
So whenever you go on Facebook and you watch a video of someone getting into a person's face and telling them their news,
Yeah.
because that's a form of savagery.
Mm.
Parliament, there's a lot
Yo.
of savagery there.
Hey. Hey. Lord God help us.
You know what I mean? And really the question is, to what extent it's entertaining, right? It is very entertaining to a certain, but there's an extent to which we become desensitized to that
Mm.
kind of behavior.
Mm.
And I think that's where the danger is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the danger is.
Absolutely. And
Question.
yes, yes, yes,
Was
yes.
Jesus not being a savage when he made the whip?
I mean, now we have to think, is that um you mean the one where you flip
At
the
the
tables and
yes,
what you?
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. But now I feel like, okay, is
Or it's
there a
holy
place for
savagery,
it? Is there a place for it?
right?
Or
Right?
is there like just all of it is bad? Because at the same time, like I think, it's very interesting for me that story. I've always like
Mm,
it's always like it's been in a weird place for me
mm,
just
mm,
because of how much in the specifically the New Testament,
mm-hmm,
how much God emphasizes loving and being kind and gentle.
mm.
And then you're thinking about it and you're like, ish, yeah, whips, flipping tables. Like, where does it? You're just,
Where do we draw the
where do I
line?
put it? Yeah, like where do I put it in my
Yeah.
spiritual inbox? Like, where do I put that?
Mm,
But
mm,
I think that God is also a God of judgment,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
And I think that's also something that we forget.
mm-hmm.
He's the lion and the lamb,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I believe if you are executing the righteous judgment
Of God.
of God,
Yeah.
then you are doing that.
Mm,
That is not dragging someone on the internet, not
mm.
the way that we know it.
Actually, that's a very good point that you're bringing up, right? Because let's take what Jesus did
Mm-hmm.
as an example, right? Because you're talking about, you're bringing in the perspective of when Jesus was doing that, he did it, the motivation was, first of all, different.
Mm.
So the person who would have been wrong would have been the person who took out their phone, filmed that, shared it on
Mm.
social media, right? And let it go viral.
Mm.
Like, depending on what the comments would have been.
Yes.
Because there's something different about taking a situation like that, filming it, and showing it to a friend. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Because there's something conversation you want to have with them.
Yes.
But then when you post it publicly, that's a different story,
Mm.
right? You literally want to take this display and you want to put it online and there is
Yes.
absolutely no context.
Yes.
There's absolutely no context at that point.
That's true.
Even if there was a context, I remember going on to Twitter and I clicked on a video. I can't remember what was the caption.
Mm.
I clicked on the video, and some videos, I think particularly on TikTok, they will say there's sensitive content if you want to. So
Yes, yes, yes.
even if it's like action movie type of, they'll say it's sensitive content. Do you want to watch?
Yes.
Which I prefer because then I have the option. But Twitter didn't have that.
Mm.
So I clicked on this video, and it was a woman in the Philippines being beat by a man on the
Oh,
street.
Lord Jesus.
And I would have rather not seen that, in as much as someone might say you do need to be aware of the fact that women do get beat, you
Mm.
understand, in a violent manner.
Mm.
I am aware of that. The thing is now, do I want to live with the trauma of something that happened in a
Mm.
land that I cannot do anything about?
Mm.
Whereas I'm already aware and I'm already immersed in the abuse that happens here. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
So I think the intent behind it, I think you raised such a beautiful point, eh? That there's a difference between someone doing what would be perceived as savagery,
Mm.
for this, like what Christ did, and then you get someone who's doing it for, like, for example, giving in itself.
Mm.
One could do it to get clout
Yes.
and to be seen and to be considered a
Noble.
exactly,
Mm.
noble, an aristocrat,
Mm-hmm.
philanthropist. You know what
Yes.
I mean?
Yes.
Or as Michael from The Office would say, a philanderer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I think the part about the intention behind what you're doing
Mm.
is really, really important. Very
Yes.
important.
So important. And I almost had like a picture when I was thinking about this topic today, just throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's almost, I read a lot of books that are set back in the day, like Romans, Colosseums and all that stuff. And it boggled my mind. There's this particular book by Francine Rivers. She has the Mark of the Lion series.
Mm-hmm.
Stunning series.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't read it, if you love books, read it. Stunning. But it was basically set in the Roman times, and she described many scenes of the Colosseum arenas and Christians being fed to lions and stuff like that. And
Mm.
them, the gladiators and people reveling in the bloodshed, right?
Mm.
And to me, I was like, how are people? I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how people are cheering people on to kill other people.
Exactly.
Then I realized we do the same thing on
Mm.
social media. Maybe I'm not actually slicing your neck open, but for the most part, I think it's clear for us that in the Bible, it even says that hatred is the sin that is similar to murder.
Mm.
So when we're busy celebrating this person hating on another person with such savagery, man, like I don't
Yeah.
have another word for it.
Yeah.
What are we doing? We are promoting murder. We are
Exactly.
promoting such evil. And when I was saying that, like, what is the condition of your heart? There's actually a scripture that I want to bring up because it's actually, and the scripture just
Yeah.
stunning. It says in Luke chapter 6, verse 45, it says, "A good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart, and an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. What you say flows from what is in your heart."
Mm.
So if we continuously feed ourselves with content and celebrate content that is evil in nature, it's not just going to stay in your heart, but you might actually find yourself being savage in real life, being savage to your friends, being savage to your family, being savage online as well. You begin to adopt the character of the things that you celebrate.
Yeah.
And I think that's the scary thing for me, and why it's important for us to be aware that no, it's not okay for me to like and watch this video, even just giving them the view.
Mm.
Like, it's
Mm.
not okay for me to do that. And I'm speaking from a place of experience. I've been rebuked
Yeah.
on just
Yeah.
that level. I remember one of my friends, B, I was showing her stuff of like content that I really like to watch. I used to binge watch like it. I was hate watching these two particular YouTubers, and people would make
Okay.
commentary videos on them, but they were
Okay.
terrible people, right?
Oh,
But the commentary was equally as terrible.
I see.
And
In calling them out.
yes, in
Yeah.
calling them out, like the way that it was done was not constructive at all. It wasn't. It was them being dragged,
Yeah.
really, and it was hurtful. It was destructive. And I was showing B this video. I was like, "Girl, these people, I've been watching them all day." And I was like, "You should watch it. It's so funny." And then like she was watching the video, and then she was like, I don't really see the point of this content. Basically, in general, like it was a longer
Yeah.
conversation than that, and I was trying to defend my watching of this stuff,
Yeah.
and she really convicted me that day because I was like, really, I'm just as bad.
Mm.
Why am I celebrating something that's so ugly? And I think that's the whole thing that I want to bring out today. Just if I can just get you to think, why do I enjoy watching, consuming this content?
Mm.
And it's not just going to end with me enjoying and consuming this content, because out of the heart, the mouth
Yeah,
speaks.
exactly.
So if I continuously fill myself with these ideas and these stories and this imagery and this language,
Mm.
why are we surprised? Why do we think it's not going to come out in our own lives?
Yeah.
And that's the danger that I see in just yeah, just
Yeah,
giving.
so it's a question of how are you conditioning your heart.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah, no. It it it's a very difficult question to have with yourself. A very difficult one. I think I I know that we like to consume content and then have that thing in the back of our heads that I'm just watching it. Yeah,
Mm.
you know what I mean. Look, I've watched a couple of videos where so when I consume content that particularly talks about people who've messed up on YouTube,
Yeah.
so commentary type
Yes.
of content, I specifically watch the type that is more on a not hating on them
Factual.
and yeah, like factual. This is where they started, this is where they came.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they got here, they started losing viewers, and then they
Mm.
thought that doing this would. I have seen the benefit of watching that kind of content
Mm-hmm.
because it also gives you things to look out for, right?
Yes.
Like whenever you have a particular following, look out for these signs
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and then
Yes.
start to reevaluate, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, how you're making your content. But I think it depends on how it's being presented. Because
Yes.
I agree with you that there are some people who present the content in a very hateful manner.
Mm.
Like it's like literally it's an opportunity to beat.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's an opportunity to beat on a horse that's already on the ground.
Mm.
So it does also, I think, with everything that you do, because it's a good question that be asked, like what is the purpose of
Mm.
the content,
Mm.
right? Is it to get you to hate them?
Mm-hmm.
Is it to get you to go onto their Facebook pages and start, throwing bombs at them? You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Mm.
And or is it a matter of teaching you something about the experience? Because
Mm.
there's a YouTuber um I don't know if you saw this Facebook clip. Danny sent it to me. Of this guy who's talking about these two celebrities, particularly focusing on the girl,
Mm-hmm.
saying she's not pretty. What are you doing? You don't have any money anymore. Recording his content on a phone.
Hectic. it's it's the fact that you're highlighting that this content was recorded on
On
a
a
phone.
phone. You know what I mean? And the people you're talking about are using proper studio cameras. Point
Whew.
being, there are those content creators who literally are there to just bash celebrities.
Yes.
You're no longer as pretty as you used to be.
Mm.
Every man you've been with has left you. That's the type of content that I don't understand.
Mm.
What is the point of it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Unless you're talking about it from a perspective of, if you ever found yourself in a situation of this much fame,
Mm.
handle yourself in
In
this
this
manner.
manner. Mm.
You know what I mean?
That
Yeah.
is so good. And I'm so glad that you brought that element of criticism, right? Because there is a need for us to be able to call out. I don't really like saying call out because I feel like the connotations of such is just kind of it's a mess these days. But to highlight, maybe to highlight places where people have gone wrong. I feel like that is something that we're always going to need, especially as Christians, guys. I cannot stress this enough. You need someone to correct you, right? Whether it is going to be the person online or it's going to be someone in your circle.
Mm.
So what we're not saying is don't approach people that God's laying it in your heart to correct.
Mm.
That is not what we're saying at all. But in all things, we're supposed to do them in love. And we should always keep it in mind. I think it's very easy. I think it's quite ironic, actually,
Yeah.
that in the same culture where we're seeing dragging and people celebrating people being dragged, we're also concerned about bullying. I'm like, how do the two subjects exist at the same
Yeah.
time? Because
Yeah.
it will be the same people who are saying, "Yeah, guys, no, it's really bad. People giving anxiety," and like, no, but you're participating in that culture. So I think that we also need to be remind ourselves, actually, that listen, we don't want to be treated in this way, because if
Mm-hmm.
someone dragged me like this, the way that I'm supporting this other person being dragged,
Yeah.
I would call it bullying.
Mm.
I would be in depression.
Mm.
I would need a counselor. So I think when we remember that we need to do unto others how we would like to be done. That doesn't make sense.
Oh my goodness, you are going viral.
Absolutely. They're gonna drag me for this. They're gonna drag me
Ah.
for this. Do unto others what you would like them to do unto you,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
Lord Jesus, let me just even edit that out.
Yeah, yeah.
Woo,
No, but I
guys.
completely understand what you mean, because I was actually thinking about how, sometimes the fact that we think the law is unfair is
Mm.
because the law tends to want to maintain the dignity of not just the victim but
Mm.
of the perpetrator,
Yes.
right? Because human beings understand one thing: we all want dignity. Even if I were a
Mm.
prisoner,
Mm.
I would want a level of dignity. That's why
Yes.
prisoners get education.
Mm.
That's why they get counseling and therapy, because the
Yes.
goal of a correctional service
Mm.
is to correct, right? That's exactly what the idea that we should approach these videos that criticize people online, and that's the kind of content we should demand, because
Yes.
that's another thing. The content that is in demand is the content that will be created.
Yes.
There we go.
100%.
Exactly, exactly. And it goes with our behavior. I mean, even the algorithms give
Will
you what you're
boost it.
demanding. You
Hey.
know what I mean? I was
Yes.
actually having this conversation with some friends, and we were talking about Instagram.
Mm.
Instagram is infamous for having these very, very what Christian word can I use? Very attractive, well curved women that just pop up on your screen
Mm.
and complicate your relationship, right?
Hectic.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, Instagram is infamous for that.
Mm.
So I was telling them that the way I solve that problem is literally Instagram has a button. You can literally click and say not interested. And
Exactly.
if you do that enough number of times,
It will
then
stop.
eventually it stops offering them to you.
Mm.
So that's one solution. When you were talking earlier, like, I was thinking about how one of the reasons that you actually get videos like that, right?
Mm.
When someone does something bad, unfortunately, we do it even when someone is a victim. And
Mm.
then we let those videos go viral, not even thinking of the fact that this person in this video might get the wrong kind of publicity. They
Mm.
might not want to be known.
That's true.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the fact that we have, I don't know if I should call it a culture, but we have the habit and tendency of thinking that the perpetrator, the person who did the abuse, deserves everything we can throw at them.
Yeah.
This is how we perceive punishment. So it's the same way that we're very careless. We're very careless about people who were the ones who committed the crime.
Mm.
No matter how much you drag them into the mud, we think they deserve it. And
That's true.
unfortunately, you forget that you might make a mistake one day,
Come
and you'll
on.
be perceived as the victimizer and
Mm.
no longer the victim. You might say something wrong. YouTubers do it all the time, you know.
Mm.
You might say something that's understood in the wrong context and hurts a particular group,
Yes, that's
and
true.
now they're the victims and you're the victimizer.
Yes.
And we do it in with a lot of things. You see it with women are more the victims and men are the victimizers, and
Mm.
we've had that conversation
Yes.
of men being expandable,
Yes.
right? So we, because we perceive a man as being the one who hurts
Mm.
and the perpetrator, so we believe that a man can be in a room and a woman can say these men,
Yes.
you know. So yeah, so it's things like that that end up having us celebrating this savagery,
Mm.
regardless in what shape or form does it come in,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
That is really, really such a beautiful point that you brought out because um we forget that we are the reasons that this content exists. It's the same sentiment as people saying don't support whatever brand because they did something racist,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because our dollars speak, our
Mm.
rands, they make the company crumble. It's the same thing, same concept. When we make that video have 40 million views, that person is going to continue making that content because guess what?
Exactly.
They're making money.
Exactly.
They're making money
Exactly.
on our views. So I think the one thing that we have to remember is not only just try and have the same grace to other people as we would like to have.
Shown
Um,
unto us.
yes, that we should not only have that mindset, but that we should also remember that we are causing the snowball effect. We are causing more people to be hurt. We are
Mm. Mm.
participating in the sin of other people by passively watching or sharing or screenshotting or liking or
Mm.
even disliking because the algorithm doesn't even care. It will still
Exactly.
push it, that
Mm.
engagement. And this is something that we should always think about. Let us learn how to be loving. And I think, just in closing, the whole point of this conversation is to get us to remember that the content that we watch will affect our hearts. It affects our hearts, and our hearts affect how we live our life. And above that, God wants us to be bearers of his light, as we just actually spoke about.
Exactly.
um, and we need to remember that our conduct, whether it is seen or not seen, whether we just are included in a number of views, or we are the person who's commenting to egg on the savagery that is being, dished out to someone else. We need to be cognizant that we need to conduct ourselves in a way that's worthy of being ambassadors of Christ. So that's that. Let's not celebrate savagery. That's about it from me. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Absolutely. Have a lovely day, guys. I love you guys all. And
Peace out.
peace out.